Welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home program. I'm Tangcay, Senior Artisans Editor from Variety. Before we speak to our guests today, I want to let you know that the Foundation has set up a COVID relief fund in order to support thousands of union performers who are going through tough times. Since March, thanks to your donations, the Foundation has given over $6.2 million in emergency aid to more than 6,600 performers and their families. If you are a SAG-AFTRA member and need help, please ask. And if you can help, please give. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Stephen Youn and Yeun Yuh-Jung Youn from MINARI. So MINARI is such a personal story to Lee Isaac Chung. What was it about the script that drew each of you to the story? Stephen, I'm going to start with you.
I think, it was, when I read it, it was something that I also wanted to say. It deeply resonated with, an experience that I grew up having. And also, I really enjoyed that, it spoke very confidently from its own point of view, that it didn't need anything outside of it to justify the story, but it was really about this family, from the family's point of view.
And what about for you?
My turn? Okay. First, I got the script within English, so of course I was having a hard time to read it, and maybe 30 pages after, I realized, it's just something. If I felt it is authentic and truthful, so I called my friend who gave me the script. Okay, I will do it. I'm very quick decision maker. That's what happened.
What did Lee tell you about each of your characters? Like, for example, Jacob, what did he say to help you tap into that character?
He actually didn't say too much explicitly. He wasn't guiding me anywhere. He was very open to collaboration, and the script itself was very just honest in that it really was written in a way of just what was or what happened. It didn't seem to imply, he didn't overwrite direction. He really just wrote dialogue, and I think that's the talent of Isaac, that he could write dialogue that was real, simple, and truthful. And so you can kind of hear the voices just by reading the script. And so for me, he allowed a lot of space for me to kind of imbue and put in my intentions and my connections to a character like that too.
Yeah.
Same here. Isaac is good listener. He listened from the actors, and then he always have open-minded, and that was very grateful for me as an actress. And then if he liked to have his idea, then it will be okay with you or something like that. So I can add my dialogue or my thought or my experience. So we just openly talk about that's the special scene or, any scene. So that was very, what do you call that? Very grateful for him, and very
gratifying. Gratifying.
Yeah, gratifying. Stephen helped me.
Ina got you. Gratifying. Yeah, you're cool. Yeah. You're so good at English. I don't even know. You don't need my help.
Please, I know myself.
No, your English is amazing. I know you were talking about it before, and it's incredible. And one thing that was so beautiful about the film is that just the portrayal of, the Korean American community and this family, and it's not been, it's not been done before in this way. And what was that like to get a script to be able to tell this story from this perspective, and just, bring the story to life?
You know, you know, for me at least, it was scary at times. I worried that I put, you know, unnecessary pressures on it. I think for me, the journey for me individually was realizing that we were just servicing the story of this one family, that we weren't necessarily upholding a portrait of all Korean Americans or anything like that. And in some way, it does reflect a truth to other people who went through a similar situation or come from a similar background. Maybe perhaps, you know, when you say it hasn't been seen before, sometimes I wonder if it's because other times that it's been done, it kind of went with the pressure of needing to service the community as a whole instead of just servicing this one family and this one story. And I think, you know, having incredible like actors like Yeri and Yeun Yuh-Jung right here, like their individuality and the way that they brought the uniqueness of their characters, I think really made it more honest and authentic and truthful.
I was surprised they haven't done this project yet because with my knowledge, our immigrants' history is back in Hawaii, some sugar field or something. Then it's been generations. I'm not sure about how long we've been immigrant. We started immigrant this country. So I thought maybe we already done this kind of story, but they said this is first time done by Isaac. So I was surprised, and it's about time to talk about it, or it's time to just come out. You know, we have a story to tell you guys or something like that. That's what I felt.
Yeah, and the other beauty is just this dynamic. There is such a great chemistry between all of you. How much time did you get to spend together beforehand? And I mean, let's talk about that chemistry.
Stephen, you tell her.
I mean, I think it all really comes down to initially Isaac and his really wonderful direction. And I think also his incredible writing just attracted really selfless actors, I think, and selfless people in the crew and cast all around. I think really everybody came together to make something and service the story. And so, you know, when we were all working, there was, you know, kind of a built-in dynamic that I think was really nice just among the actors that could also bleed into the characters in some way. And, you know, we didn't have too much time, but you know, we all kind of came together at the same place, met at a house. I crashed and bothered Yoon 선생님 quite a bit. I did laundry at her place and ate all their food. But you know, that was kind of like that was kind of Jacob too, to like show up and just eat the food and then leave.
No, he wasn't rude at all because see, we didn't have much time, but happened to be the one who gave me the script. She was worried to death about me being alone in Tulsa, Oklahoma with anybody help. So she came along with me, and then she happened to be a very nice chef. I didn't know she could be cooked like that. So she was preparing a meal. Then, you know, once he stopped to do the laundry, and of course he could smell the food, then he cannot go back to the hotel. So we got together naturally, and at the dinner table, of course, we share the life, you know, how he grew up and how I've been an actress, and we were sharing all the life together. Then ate the meal. Then we talk about script, and then I think that's why we became a real family. We got very close because in Korean say, if we eat together, that become a family. But there's some nice way to put it. Stephen, you say it.
I don't know it either, but I believe you. Sorry.
Please help me. So
sorry.
That's why we became a family, really.
Yeah.
He was a good son.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very good son then.
Yes, he was.
What about working with Alan Kim? I mean, what a genius. I love the dynamic. I love, Jacob and David and Grandma and little David. Talk about working with a child, because the one thing they say is don't work with children and animals. But he seems like an angel.
You know what I will say? I will say that I felt like what also made this movie so special, in addition to like just the individuals, but like the power of purity from different perspectives. I feel like the purity of Noel and Alan was so important to this. They kept all of us honest, and they kept all of us engaged and always kind of in this family dynamic. And we were trying to uphold the reality for them too. And so there was that. And then there's also, kind of the power of Youn 선생님's kind of purity in that way of, she came with some incredible people that were really integral to this film. Ina, who's sitting right next to her, was so important to us. Yeol, who came and helped us, she kind of played utility and like was in the gaps of everything in between culture, in between language, in between production. And then, we had other people like Doug and such really selfless people that showed up. And there was this power of purity and intention that I think, went from Alan all the way up. And that's to me like the biggest magic of it. Like Alan and Noel, their futures are so bright and they're such intelligent young people. And I'm excited for them in the future. But for me, what was like the most palpable with the experience that I had with them was just their real purity of being able to react to a true moment. And that's something special. That's not that common.
I think I was the first one who acted with Alan Kim, that they did. And of course, like you said, I was worried to death because he doesn't have experienced acting, not inexperienced acting. So, what I'm gonna do with that little boy. So the night before, okay, I will be miserable with that boy. Then that was all wrong. He well prepared, I'm sure, by his mother. He memorized all the line, and then if he throw the line or I throw the line to him, then he's just like a sponge, like just react in that moment. So it became very natural, and especially he doesn't like grandmother at all. So I try not to see him. I didn't have any meeting with him because I just, make him feel like I was a total stranger for him from Korea. So he was really act like that. So it was very magically happened.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that dynamic. I'm going to ask you, do you like Mountain Dew?
Not really.
It's so bad for you.
Drinks should not be that color. Like, it's just not right. Talking about the purity of it all, and I love that thread that you drew just there, Stephen. Was there a scene that really resonated? Like one, I know it's such a difficult one, but is there one scene that resonated with you, whether you were reading it in the script or whether you were actually on set in that moment?
I think, there's a few, but I think one that I really enjoyed, I wasn't even an observer or really a participant, but I was just kind of there in the room. And it was that feeling of that scene when Youn 선생님 was looking at the family, and I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it because my eyes were closed. I was trying to be in the scene opposite her on the ground with my family. But it was just being together after, we shot that later in the sequence anyway of the film. And so like that experience was culminating to that one point. to feel the silence in the room and to also like know that you're giving something to a very silent, like powerful performance. And then at the end of it, for everybody to be like, oh, like, that was awesome. It was really like, that was a really powerful energy in that room. And that was really fun. And then another one for me was, when the barn was burning down, and I had spent 2 takes trying to desperately control the situation for myself, thinking that as Jacob, he would be losing his mind or having his massive moment of just like, freaking out. And I couldn't really get to this emotional place that I like willed in my head. And I finally let go, and I just like catatonically stared at it and let go to the moment. And then I look over, and Yeti is there sobbing for the 3rd take in a row, no problem. And that moment was very honest to me too, of just showing in such a real way through an experience like this that, this is not a life alone, that, you experience these things together, and that the people that you might not realize are upholding so much of a life are doing so in silence. And so to watch her performance too was really powerful.
Yeah, that scene was devastating. There was so much beauty to that. What was that like filming that for you? Especially, I mean, you're like this close to the fire. You talk about shooting that.
Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful to watch. Did you come to? Were you there?
No, I didn't. I wasn't there. But me myself, it started the fire. So
yeah, and I remember that. I have
you were
pictures
there,
from
but I was kind of dangerous that night. But
yeah,
the flame was on to my face, and I tried to put out the fire, right? And then with that hand is not movable, and I don't know what to do. And then that's when right emotion. But problem is, I'm very old-fashioned actress. Then my principle is, unless I hear the cut sound, I need to keep doing same acting. So I was doing it, and I couldn't hear the sound of cut. So I kept doing, and then the flame was onto my face, so I didn't know what to do. So I teased the Ina, and I almost Korean barbecued myself.
It was hot. It was very hot. Yeah, Yeti and I probably sat there staring at it for about 10 seconds before they forced us to like come back, because it was raging. But it was beautiful. It was terrifying and beautiful.
Beautiful sequence. And why, I mean, the film has been, people have been seeing the film online because of the pandemic, or, however people have been consuming the content, and everybody who's seen it, it resonates so deeply. Why do you think the film has touched so many people? And what is it like to have the film come out in the pandemic, the way that it's been released? Like, talk about that.
Oh, I don't know. The one who was in the part of that movie, of course, we all expected it comes out real nice way. But to me, I didn't expect to be having this much attention. So, for the foreigner, especially me, I'm pure Korean, so I was really surprised. And then trying to now put together myself, I think because of the script, I was the first audience, I think, when I read the script, and then it just moved me or touched me. It's so authentic. Maybe it's same feeling for the audience, like others or something. Am I saying right? That's what I'm trying to gather in. Stephen, if please help.
I think that's right. Yeah. I think it's that. I think ultimately it's a feeling. It's really hard to grasp what anything tangible. I think I think it starts again with Isaac. I think Isaac, he has a lot of love. He has a lot of love for people. He has a lot of love for love and grace for his characters. And he had a lot of love and grace for his cast and his crew. And I think, starting there and then kind of like having that feeling emanate while we were making it. I remember when we were making it, I was like, this is a very joyful production. It was not easy, and it had difficult moments, but there was a lot of joy. And so, getting out there, I think it speaks to connection. I think it speaks to isolation. I think it speaks to love. I think it speaks to grace. There's just so many things that I feel like was captured in this script, and then hopefully, was realized, and then now it gets out there. I'm very glad that people are connecting to it. What's been, strange and sobering is to start at Sundance and have that huge, week where we got to experience it with so many people. And then, to go right into the pandemic was, at times I think there's moments where Isaac and I would say, we're talking, we're like, it's a bummer that people won't be able to all go and collectively see this together in the theater. And I still feel that. I hope people get a chance to do that at some point, but it's a very different experience. But also just, it felt like the movie was kind of living on its own terms, that in some way it made itself, and then it's also kind of putting itself out in whatever way, shape, or form. And the cool part is I think it's reached more people than it might have in this, terrible situation. So yeah, I try not to question it too much. I'm just like, whatever's happening is happening, and it's like the craziest ride so far.
I love that. And I hope it does get released in the cinemas, so when it's safe, so people can enjoy it all together, because it's one of those films that you want to revisit again and again. But looking back, what did you learn about yourself making this?
Me?
Yeah.
I learned a lot of lessons. See, me, how old am I now? 73, 74? She said 74, 74. And people think I'm very wise, and because I learned the last lesson through lifetime, so I could be a very mature person. I'm not, actually. I'm very temperamental, and then if I get impulsive, but seeing Isaac in that set, I learned a lot of things from him, really. He was really calm, and he handled everybody right way and concerned about everybody. That I learned the lesson from Isaac. But Stephen, tell you the truth is I'm trying to be like him, but not no. I always thinking about the night before. Okay, I'll be very patient and tolerance to the everything, but next day if something happened to me, I would completely forgot about last night. Fair. Well,
but that's your power. That's what that's your power, Zanzini. I feel like that's it. I think what she said is it. That I learned that too. I learned I learned the power of everybody. I learned everybody has their secret power, and like everybody came and showed their secret power in whatever way, shape, or form, down to every single crew member. Yeah, I think I learned a lot about submission this time around. Just letting go and giving in to something greater. And that's one of many, many lessons, but I won't bore you with how much I've changed in a year.
I'll find out later.
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
WhatsApp conversation begins. I was going to say one of my favorite sequences is when she arrives with the suitcase and she opens it up and it's just, there's no clothes, it's just all food, which is such, it's, if you're from Asia, Southeast Asia, like that's what they do. It's like mangoes and all food. What was that scene like for you?
Food means home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure she brings all that, this dried red hot pepper and then dried anchovy. We all need that. All Korean knows we need that for some kind of base, ingredient base. So of course, that's her home, to Monica's home. She brought the home for her. So she could cry. That's why she cried. People probably don't understand why she cried, but that's, I brought the home for her.
I love that. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. So the film received a SAG Ensemble nomination. What does the cast, sorry, what was that like to receive that recognition? Like, what did that mean to you?
Stephen, okay, I'll tell, because I'm very ignorant about that American system. So I really didn't know what is the SAG means. So later on, I found out, because I'm pure Korean. I just born and raised in Korea, and then I'm not familiar with all the Hollywood system. So I asked Ina what is SAG stands for. She explained it to me. So now I know. But to me, were not realistic, and it's not real to me, because I'm just Korean. So I know she explained it to me how I should be grateful, and then this is the SAG award means, and it's from the actor to actor, that I understand literally. Am I saying right?
Literally,
yeah.
Yeah, literally. But my feeling is, what is it? I'm sure they say we did a good job, but it's not realistic to me. Tell you the truth is.
Yeah.
So you are American, so you explain.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, Sanjay. It's like it seems intangible. It seems like another world, and for me, in it, that was to me like the most gratifying nomination. To be nominated by your contemporaries, but then for people to see the work of what felt the most true in this production, which was all of us, everybody giving every part of themselves to this production, and them recognizing kind of the collective ensemble, that to me feels the most honest and real between all of us. So yeah, it's major. We deeply appreciate it.
Love it. So Stephen, I'm going to switch lanes for a second, and we're going to talk about The Walking Dead. When your character when your character Glenn died, it was such a it's such a moment in pop culture, and people were like, they didn't want to watch the show after you left. What do you remember about filming that finale, and why did that moment resonate so much?
I don't know. I don't know why it resonated so much. I mean, I have my guesses, but I think it's probably individual to everybody. But I had a similar feeling making that show, especially in the beginning, as I had with Minari. Of people coming together to service something much larger than them, and people kind of not taking any more than they needed to, and giving of themselves, and that type of dynamic, I think, is hard to come by sometimes, and with Walking Dead, I remember the first couple seasons and beyond, but especially the first one, was a real beautiful group moment. It was all of us coming together. None of us knew each other, all from different kind of backgrounds and people, and we were all telling this larger story, and that was a wonderful feeling. And I've been able to feel that feeling a couple of times, and I'm very lucky for that. And I wonder if, when Glenn died, I don't know why, but I will say Glenn was that character. What it maybe meant to a larger group was connection. I think he represented connection in a way. I think he was kind of the heart in the way of kind of bringing everybody together. And so I'm sure it was not great when that character left. But shooting it was sad. It was sad. It was disgusting. And it was also beautiful because I was a part of something deeply connected. To have Andy there, to have Lauren there, to have Norman there, all my friends and all these cast members and crew that have come along with me on the ride, or I came along with them. To kind of end it there was nice. In so much as that I was sad to leave, but also it felt like everybody was supportive and we were just kind of moving to the next phase of kind of all of our lives in that way. And so, yeah, I could talk about it for hours, but it was really good.
The Walking Dead is not a show that Grandma would be watching.
Actually, I think so. I think Sunja would definitely watch Walking Dead.
Yes.
It's like wrestling.
Well,
it's like wrestling.
I watched.
Love it.
It was worse than wrestling.
Oh yeah. Sunja, not.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I got confused with me and Sunja. Sorry.
Sunja late at night after David's gone to bed and the whole family. She's watching late night. Thank you so much for that incredible conversation.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home, and thank you so much.
I appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Same.
Appreciate it.